One of the modern innovations which designer Tom Andrews had included on the RMS Titanic was the Marconi wireless service. Prior to this invention, all ships at sea were totally out of contact, and it was not unusual for ships to be literally lost at sea. Steward Frank Prentice.
After the third day, we had messages coming in about ice and icebergs, but, well, we didn't seem to take much notice of that. We went flat out.
Second Officer Charles Lightoller, recorded here in 1936, would have been particularly interested in any ice report.
From the moment we left Belfast, we had marvellous weather. And even when we got out on the Western Ocean, or Atlantic, as you probably know it, it was as smooth as the proverbial mill pond, not a breath of wind, and the sea like a sheet of glass. In any other circumstances, those conditions would have been ideal. But anyone with experience of ice at sea knows that those very conditions, and a moonless night, only render the detection of icebergs all the more difficult, and calls for additional alertness on the part of both officers and men. On that night of April the 14th, we all, that is, the captain and officers, knew perfectly well that we were just about entering the region where ice might be sighted at that particular time of the year, and had taken all necessary precautions. Now, throughout the day, there had been the usual wireless messages from different ships reporting the weather, hot icebergs, and so forth. But as none of these bergs reported lay on our course, well, they didn't directly concern us. But when the evidence came to be sifted out at the inquiry held in London afterwards, it then came out that one very vital message received in the Titanic's wireless room that night had never been delivered to the bridge. That message came from a ship called the Masada.
Ice report. Much heavy pack ice and great number large icebergs. Also floating field ice. Latitude 42 degrees north.
Those immense quantities of ice were abnormal for almost any time of the year, and the significance we should have attached to that report can hardly be exaggerated. In my opinion, it was a warning of the most vital importance. You see, I was officer of the watch and in charge of the ship when that Masaba message came over, and I know perfectly well what I should have done if it had come to my hands. Without a shadow of doubt, I should have slowed her down at once. That would have been imperative, and sent for the captain. More than likely, in fact almost certainly, he would have stopped the ship altogether and waited for daylight to feel his way through.